I'm an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Neurosciences. And for the last 10 years, I've been more or less using the MRI imaging to study children with ADHD. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's one of the most common childhood disorders, affecting about 7% of children. It's a disorder that's actually very difficult to diagnose. There's no one single definitive symptoms that is clear cut in terms of diagnosing. The three main core symptoms of ADHD are difficulty in paying attention, focusing, poor impulse control, and as well as being overactive. These symptoms in ADHD can lead to a lot of hardship to the child and also the family. It can affect the self-esteem in a child. They also tend to have poor relationship with their peers. School performance is also a big issue. It's very common that children with ADHD also have a learning disability. As well as having ADHD may lead to more serious down the road illnesses like anxiety, bipolar, or depression. This research grant that I just recently received is a fairly large study. It's a 5-year study. It's a fairly comprehensive in terms of the imaging data collection that we will be conducting. We're going to be recruiting well over 100 kids, and we'll be collecting imaging data to be able to track changes in kids with and without ADHD. Specifically, imaging or MRI is a very useful tool. It does a very nice job, excellent job of providing nice detailed pictures of the brain. But it can also be used to assess the biochemistry in the brain, as well as how well a brain actually functions. So we're going to be collecting information on all of that in these kids. And the added thing too is that we're going to be repeating these measurements over time, over a 2-year span. So we'll be able to follow the changes that are occurring as these children and teens mature. This research is actually a very important. To be able to follow changes that are occurring is somewhat poorly understood. The cause of ADHD is really not known, as well as following the illness progression is also poorly understood. So a study like this, I think, is very exciting because it really provides a way to really track the changes and be able to track changes in ADHD kids as well as healthy kids without ADHD. So therefore we can actually compare. We will be able to hopefully identify exactly at what age and where in the brain differences start to occur. There are studies out there that have tried to follow changes in kids. But I think the way that we're going about it, we are being much more meticulous in terms of making measurements in the very young kids, children that are as young as 6 and 7 years old. And that's really where there's a lot of things that are happening in brain development as they mature. And so a lot of research out there, I think, have missed that little window that is showing a lot of interesting changes. The other uniqueness of this research study is the kinds of imaging data that we're going to be collecting. I mentioned that it does a nice job of looking at the structural size of different brain areas, but assessing the biochemistry is, I think, very important. We know that we could use it to assess brain development quite accurately, and that helps to put into helps to study, a disorder like ADHD. Our goal for this research is fairly well defined. We know that ADHD, there's lots of evidence to implicate brain development. So brain development on its own is actually fairly complex. But this study will allow us to really better profile the changes that are actually occurring, not just in ADHD kids, but in healthy kids. So we have identified certain areas in the brain that appears to be underdeveloped. And then there's other areas that develop a little bit later. And we think that the underdeveloped one area is actually affecting the later. And by conducting this study, we will be able to truly assess that. In terms of the future, which is actually not that far down the road, I see that this study could provide a lot of meaningful information about better strategizing treatment. The fact that we know where, or we hope to find out where and at what age these differences are occurring, we could then better target or develop better age-appropriate treatment. Treatment doesn't have to involve just the medication itself, but also behavioral therapy and other tests as well. And we will be able to use the imaging to really to see if improvement are truly happening in the brain to coincide with improvement.